Welcome to the Christ Connection Podcast. We are here to help and encourage you to enjoy your adventure with Jesus. I'm your host, Kevin Senapati Ratna. Let the journey begin. Hello and welcome to episode number 67 of the Christ Connection Podcast. And this episode is another one of our 10-minute tool time episodes designed to, in under 10 minutes, give you something practical that you can use in your relationship with Jesus. If you are new to the show, please subscribe, share with friends. Welcome to the Christ Connection family. We're glad you're here. And the idea here today is to give you something that I'm calling Jesus' plan for unlimited talking with God. Now, let me be clear. We're going to talk about the Lord's Prayer here in a second, but I realize this is going to be a challenge to do in 10 minutes because I could really do, hours on this subject. When you talk about prayer, Jesus was the master teacher, and he had such depth with what he did in the Lord's Prayer to teach us about prayer. And I do conferences and seminars speaking around the country and world, and we go in depth into all the things that practical prayer looks like. So I'm going to try and keep it there. I think we can do it because I'm just going to take one phrase from his teaching today. Let me just read you the Lord's Prayer from Matthew chapter 6 in the ESV. Pray then like this: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And then tradition adds in, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Now, you could definitely pray the Lord's Prayer simply by saying the words, and sometimes that's just a great place to, if you're in a moment, 30 seconds, someone's called it the most powerful 30 seconds in the world or something like that. I actually heard, this is COVID season when I'm recording this, and one of my relatives said it's a great prayer to pray while you're washing your hands. You can sing the alphabet or whatever, but you could also pray the Lord's Prayer, and that's a great place. But Jesus also, each of the phrases are kind of depth that is amazing, of topics that you can talk about with God, and I could go through each one of those for you, but let me just do one with our time today and show you that. Maybe I'll come back at another point and show you some of the other ones and how amazing Jesus was as a teacher on this. And so today I want to talk about the phrase, and lead us not into temptation. Now, I love Jesus so much in this area because he teaches us so well on how to pray and creates kind of this open space of prayer for us to walk in with. Yeah, simple phrase of lead us not into temptation. I love, first of all, because he's saying, I don't want you to be praying just to overcome temptation, that you wouldn't get into it in the first place. May I not even get into the place, because I'm in the process of early stages of writing a book on spiritual warfare, and there's a lot to learn. I'm enjoying it so much that it might take 5 years to write this thing, but because I want to be very practical about it. And Jesus is so practical in this. He's saying, lead us not into temptation. I don't want to even get there, because when you get to the place where the devil's dealing with you, who knows what's going to happen, and I don't want to even get to that place. So, Lord, lead me not into temptation. And you can kind of weave with that and look through your day and say, where are those areas where I may struggle with today? What are those opportunities where I commonly fall? Those sins that so easily beset us, as is said. And what do I need to avoid here this day to follow Jesus well? And so you pray that, and then you pray about the fact that if you get into those situations that temptation ends up coming, how am I going to handle it? How am I going to deal with it? What is the strategy that I can have? Jesus gives, the Bible gives so many things that we can do in those situations, so you begin to pray about that. Maybe you'll pray about the idea of no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And when you are there, that He'll provide a way of escape. And so you begin to pray that as you go through your day, that God would give you those ways out. If you get into temptation, that the thoughts would come to your mind of how you can overcome and how you can not fall to that temptation, that you'd see clearly, this is my exit route, which leads to another thing of praying for. Paul says, flee youthful lust, that you would have the motivation to run from temptation. Kind of like Joseph, when he was tempted by Potiphar's wife, he fled from the place. That you would have the motivation to not just sit around and discuss. And that's the proverb talks about be led away into sin, and which leads to death. And so say, God, help me to flee from that, whatever that is, whatever that, maybe that's that area that you often, or things that you might be blindsided. Say, God, I need you to help me with that. Help me to flee. Help me to resist when I need to resist. What are those things that I need to resist? But going back to that first phrase, lead us not into temptation. You're praying here in a broader sense for Jesus' leadership in your life, that God would lead you in paths of righteousness, as the psalmist says, that you would be led to that place. We want to get on paths that are good for us to walk on. I love Andy Stanley's books, the principle of the path. That the idea is there are certain things that if you get on the road, you end up at a certain destination. That's just how roads work. And so he's saying that you want to get on the right path, and this is kind of what you're praying here. Lead me into paths of righteousness, places that you want me to go on each day, each week. Kind of even roads can take you places for a long time. Where is that path that you want to go? So I hope you're seeing here this simple phrase, lead me not into temptation, is something you can simply pray that phrase, but then there's also the great depth to go on. And each of the phrases, and again, I'll hopefully come back at some other point with another 10-minute tool time to kind of walk you through some of these other great phrases that Jesus gives. But there's unlimited topics of conversation with Jesus, and we are invited to that. That's what the Lord's Prayer gives for us, is just this framework for unlimited conversation with God. And I hope that you even this day, just take that one phrase and let it roll over in your mind. Lead me not into temptation. Lead me not into temptation. Where is that taking me, Lord? So, friend, as we end this time today, I hope that you will pursue Jesus in a new way, a new passion, a new desire to walk it. Maybe this next 6 months, you'll see temptations that you fall in the past will just fall to the wayside. Or let's share this with some friends and get the word out about the opportunity that Jesus gives us to pray. If you'd like to learn more about us as a ministry, we're at christconnection.cc or on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Enjoying Prayer, because we're all about enjoying prayer. I'd love to connect with you there, so I look forward to hearing you, and until next time, thanks for listening.